fishing, it's in my soul.
Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
Hello, Salt Strong Nation. Joe Simons, like diamonds. We are back. This is going to be a fun one. If you follow us on Instagram, we are at the @ symbol, the Salt Strong. You probably have seen this dude named Travis. In fact, I had a few people have messaged me saying, why do you keep featuring this shark fit Cocoa Beach dude? What's his deal? Is he your brother or something? I've actually never met him, so I have a ton of questions for this guy. And if you're wondering why we keep featuring him, it's because he keeps tagging us in slam after slam after slam. Redfish, snook, speckled trout, flounder, tarpon. The dude is catching everything. And I believe he was one of the first people in the shortest amount of time to catch an inshore slam on the Slam Shady 2.0. He's caught what looks like hundreds and hundreds of fish on the original Slam Shady version. And I reached out to him and was like, dude, I got to hear the story. I mean, it looks like almost every single day I get tagged by Shark Fit Cocoa Beach with the new awesome fish that's being caught on the Slam Shady. So I got a lot of questions for you, Travis. So welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you. Glad to be on.
And so where are you? Where do you live? Cocoa Beach somewhere, I assume?
I live in Cocoa Beach. Yep. Moved here a couple years ago.
And what's up with, what's the name? The Shark Fit _ Cocoa Beach.
So I guess I didn't grow up here in Florida fishing. I grew up in Nebraska. So when I moved to Florida, everyone told me, oh, all you're gonna see is alligators and snakes and sharks. There's so many things that will eat you when you move to Florida. You're not gonna like it there. Anyway, so then started fishing down here, and of course it's completely different. And the first time I got on the ocean, my dad came down. We did a little charter, and all we caught were sharks, which most people would call that a bad day, but we thought it was great. Coming from the Midwest, like sharks were like the coolest thing ever. So that's kind of where my passion for fishing started, was catching sharks. And then I've just kind of grown from there. So that's where the name Shark Fit comes in. And then also my wife, I've gradually gotten her into fishing. She was more of a fitness freak. She's always working out and stuff, so it's hard to get her come on the boat. But she's done CrossFit for a long time, and so I kind of made a deal. All right, you come fishing with me, I'll go to CrossFit with you. And then we both ended up loving both CrossFit and fishing. So that's where the name Shark Fit came from.
Aha.
Because you get a big old shark on, it's a heck of a workout.
Oh,
so
no.
Call it
No, that's cool. So did you fish like for bass or panfish and stuff like that in Nebraska?
Yeah. Actually, growing up, my dad and my brother were big into fishing. I always thought it was so boring because we would never catch anything. I don't know if it was just they were really lousy fishermen or if there's just not very many fish in Nebraska. But, I'd go, but it was like, okay, well, I'm done. We've sat on this boat for 6 hours and we've not put anything in the boat. So it was never very fun for me. But, yeah, it was the same thing as like bluegill. That was the easiest to catch. And then some bass, walleye. But, mostly it wasn't that much fun until I moved to Florida, and there's fish everywhere.
Yes. So I've heard one story offline about a canoe trip. What's that? That was your first boat, essentially? Your first way to access the water besides wading boots?
Exactly. That was the first boat. So my father-in-law retired and moved down here, and he had an old canoe that he brought with him. He was from Nebraska and Iowa area too. So he lived on the water here in Cocoa Beach, and we decided, well, let's take the canoe out and try to do some fishing in there. So my father-in-law and my oldest daughter, at the time she was probably 5 or 6, and then myself went out. We, went to the local bait shop. What do we got to do to catch fish around here? And it's like, oh, well, shrimp catches everything. All right, here's some frozen shrimp. So I did just like we did in Nebraska, put a bobber and a hook on there, and we sat and wait. All of a sudden, we were pulling in catfish after catfish after catfish. Like, this is so fun. Later learned the catfish isn't cool. I'm posting pictures. Look at this catfish I caught. Yay. Well, anyway, my daughter gets a catfish on. She's all excited. And I set my pole down to help her get it off. And as soon as I set it down, the pole jumps out of the canoe in the water. And of course, my first instinct is, wow, that's my $17 pole. I got to get that back. So I dove in after it as I get fluttering away. Completely missed it. I had my phone in my pocket, keys, wallet, everything.
Oh, man.
I just head first dove off the canoe in front of my daughter, and she's like, what is he doing? Anyway, long story short, I didn't get my pole back right there. But we continued to fish and have a good time. And then, no kidding, 20 minutes later, down the river, I see my bobber surface and starts moving around. I was like, that fish is still on there. So we tried to paddle over to it, and then it disappeared again. And then, then it slowly would be over there. The bobber would come back up and see it moving around. So we just creeped over as quickly as we can. I was able to snag the bobber, pull the fish in, which I'm thinking, all right, I got a huge fish on here. That pole came flying out of the canoe, and it's just another stupid catfish. And so I caught my pole back with the fish in the canoe and pulled the line until I got my pole back. Of course, it's saltwater, and I thought that this pole would still be good. It was just garbage after that anyway, but it was made for a good time and a fun story.
That's awesome. So that was only 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Wow. So you have had a massive transformation in 5 years. If you basically knew nothing about fishing, right, in terms of inshore fishing. And another note to self, it doesn't take much to entertain people from Nebraska when it comes to saltwater fishing. Just put them on some catfish and sharks, and it sounds like we're all set.
Exactly.
But so I know it's probably a longer story than just like one thing happened, but what happened? Like, how did you go from that to catching inshore slams almost every trip in 5 years? And you're not a full-time guide, right? Like, you have a real job?
Right. Yeah, I have a real job. So it was actually, we hired a new guy at work, and he was a big fisherman. He was from Ohio, but he's been saltwater fishing for a while. Like, he'd come down to Florida on trips and stuff. So I linked up with him. And of course, my idea was, come out here, we'll catch catfish. It's going to be so fun. And he was making fun of me. And so then that's when I learned, okay, catfish isn't cool down here. We're not setting out to catch catfish. And so he kind of got me into, what to look for and that. And so then I was like, okay, I want to get better. So because all I did when I fished with him was grab the net, right? He's catching fish. I grabbed the net, and then voila, George caught another big fish.
And what like, was he targeting snook or reds or trout or anything particular?
Yeah. So, he would always catch snook. I would never catch a snook. I didn't catch a snook for like years. It was impossible for me because, he was always fishing in the mangroves. And every time I'd throw it in there, I just lose everything, get snagged immediately. Didn't have the art of the cast down. But then I got frustrated, and I'm like, okay, well, now if I want to fish with I don't want to look stupid and just, grab the net, be the net guy all the time. So I started looking up, how-to fishing for dummies, stuff like that. And I actually came across you guys watched some of your videos and stuff like that, and then got on the email list, and so I get alerts there. So I learned a lot in the beginning from your material, and then the rest was just a lot of just go out, try this, try that, try this, process of elimination, trial and error,
so
and kind of attack that way.
It's interesting you mentioned casting, because I really do believe that is one of the most important things for any angler. And there's so many anglers who maybe have been fishing their entire lives that might be 45 years old, have been fishing since they were 3, and yet still aren't the best casters. And we've seen it in our boat, and we could be out fishing someone standing right next to them. Same lure, same rod, same reel, same braided line, everything. And we're out fishing him, especially Luke, because my brother really is an amazing caster, because he's on the water every day pretty much, and just he's so fluid, and that makes such a difference. And we talked about on a podcast recently that, you know, if you get just an extra 10 feet, just forget about casting into mangroves, even just the distance part of it on a flat or around mangroves, an extra 10 feet. If you're fishing for 4 or 5 hours and you're making, 20 casts an hour, I mean, you're talking about football fields of length in the prime time feeding zone. I mean, it is game changing, and yet so few people talk about casting. So would you agree with that? Is that one of the really big things for you?
Absolutely, especially within the last, even 3 or 4 months, my casting has improved dramatically. And now, like, I'll invite George out here and I will outfish him every time.
Yeah, you're my net guy now, dude.
Yeah, exactly. that was the funnest thing is, so actually just recently, a few weeks back, he came with me, and he's a live bait guy. He doesn't like messing with the lures and all that. I mean, he will, but he just thinks you're not going to catch snook unless you have live bait. So that's just how he does it. And I said, I've been catching tons of snook on the Slam Shady. And he's like, oh yeah, Slam Shady, whatever. It's just swim bait. I said, I have told this to like 5 people, and every time they're not catching anything. I'm pulling in snook after snook. And as soon as I give them one, I say, try it. They catch a fish. He's like, that's baloney. That's a load. So, no joke. I've caught like 3 snook, and he's caught nothing. And it's early in the day. And I said, here, telling you, just give it a try. No joke. His first cast with it, he pulls in a redfish, and he just was like, that's ridiculous.
I love it. That's crazy, man. So besides casting, what other, like, in terms of mistakes, what other like things that, man, I wish someone had told me that, or this took forever, like this was game changing? Any other kind of aha ideas?
Yeah, actually with the snook fishing, like I just assumed there were no snook around here. All I caught were trout in the inshore game around here for 2 years. It was just like, oh, trout. And every now and again you get a redfish, something like that. And one day fishing, just like I always do, I knew how to get trout. I put tons of trout in the boat. Just fishing all the spots I usually catch trout, and I actually overcasted one, and it skipped on top of the water and into the mangroves. I'm like, oh crap, now I'm snagged. And as soon as it wasn't snagged, a snook hit it right away. And I pulled a snook in, I'm like, so that's where they are. Like all this stuff, I knew they were in there, but I didn't know how to get them, because like I said, my friends, they always use live mullet, and they just toss it close, and the mullet are stupid and swim in there. Yeah. And then they get chumped. So then after that, it was like, that was the biggest game changer for me, was just realizing, okay, that's where they are. And then that's when I started just casting, skipping, just trying to do everything to get it in in as deep as I can without getting snagged. Which I went through a lot of lures and a lot of jig heads, learning, figuring it out.
And what do you use? What kind of jig heads do you try to use weedless when you're skipping under the mangroves for that, or no?
No, I actually the best jig head I found was thanks to you guys. I ordered the Slam Shadies and I got those little trout eyes jig heads.
Yeah.
And those things just really skip nicely, and the eyes look fantastic. And so that's what I use probably 90% of the time. I just did get some of the weedless because I've lost so many so many trout eyes. I keep having to buy more.
Yeah, those.
Anyway, so I just got those this week.
Oh, cool.
Haven't used them yet, and they're not as heavy as the jig heads, so I'm not getting the same skipping distance and stuff. So it'll be a. But I do notice that I am not snagging near as much. So I just got to get used to the different feel for the cast.
Well, that's so interesting. Two big aha moments were around casting, and we've noticed that too. You know, we have a lot of insiders who are killing it on trouts and even on the reds. And like, I can't catch a snook, you know, assuming they're here in Florida. And that usually is our answer is, hey, like start getting really tight into those mangroves. I mean, they're going to be, and obviously docks too. This past couple of months, we've been killing it under docks, but yeah, those mangrove lines are just money. And a big part of it is casting, and a big part of it is boat positioning and being stealthy and quiet. You know, you don't want to get too close, but also you need to be close enough where you can make a good skip under there. So let's talk about that. What have you learned over these couple of years? Because I mean, like you said, you've kind of gone from, you know, being the net guy that wasn't catching anything but catfish to catching slams almost every trip. What have you learned about like boat positioning in particular?
So I don't have like your prototypical fishing boat. I wanted to get a center console bay boat, you know, when we were boat shopping.
Yep.
That way I could still, you know, run offshore on calm days, get my shark fit in, and I could still fish the inshore as much as I wanted. But my wife, she was persistent on getting the family boat because we got three little girls, and she's like, they're never going to want to go on a fishing boat. So she talked me into buying a pontoon boat, and so that's what I do my fishing on. Is the pontoon. It's got a live well. I need to get a trolling motor. That's my biggest problem.
Wait a minute. I didn't. So you're catching all these fish on a pontoon boat without a trolling motor?
Yes, sir.
Holy smokes! All right, you got my attention now. I did not know that. I don't know that you've ever posted a picture of your boat. All I see is countless fish.
Well, yeah, because I realize also in the fishing community, pontoon boat's not exactly the coolest thing.
Dude, who cares if you're catching that many fish? I love it. This story's getting really, really good now.
Yeah. So my charter buddy here in town, he was trying to sell me his old boat. That's the boat I wanted to buy, and my wife won. So we got the pontoon, and he's been seeing all these fish I'm catching, and he said same thing. He's like, "You're catching all these fish on that pontoon boat?" He's like, "Do you got a trolling motor?" I said, "No." I don't even anchor. I literally just drift around in the pontoon boat and skip mangroves.
What? So you don't have a stick it pin or an anchor pin or anything?
No.
What?
I have an anchor, but I don't ever use it. So my positioning is the wind that day. Where am I going to get a line where I can just drift down the line with the current and the wind? That's how I position myself.
Dude,
which is a lot harder.
Yeah.
One of my charter buddies, he's like, you know, if you got a trolling motor, you would do so much better. He's like, I already know that you're like killing it, and but you would do so well with a trolling motor. I was like, well, I guess that'll be the next step.
Dude, that is crazy. All right, so let's stay on this subject. So we've talked about mangrove lines. I get how you could do that, even though that, depending on the wind, that could be really frustrating. Are you also just drifting over grass flats? Like, what other kind of areas, what other kind of structure are you fishing?
Yeah, it's mostly, so around here, Brevard County, there's a lot of mangroves, and that's my favorite because my favorite fish to catch is a snook, just because it's the most challenging, I believe. I mean, you can catch reds and trout with, shrimp or whatever, but the snook, like I said, I went a year and a half without catching a snook. From like my first snook to my second snook, it was like a year and a half.
Wow.
So there's just always been, that it's like that hot girl in high school that you just couldn't quite get the attention of. That's the snook.
All you have to do is put on the Slam Shady cologne, dude.
Exactly. Speaking of which, that 2.0 smells like black licorice. It's not too bad. I kind of just leave them out, and it makes my whole car smell like sort of black licorice factory.
Yeah, it's got a special scent. We played around with a couple different ones, and that was one that worked and still didn't like smell up our entire office. Because if you get some really bad scent and one bag is open or leaks, I mean, it could be kind of nasty. But yeah, that's pretty funny you say that. So another question. Now, you mentioned you went a year and a half. Like, are you catching inshore slams? It seems like almost every trip, or is that just me imagining things with the pictures? Or at least catching one, if not all three species, every time you're going out.
Yeah. I don't ever get skunked anymore. That all kind of went away within the last couple of years. And then, like I said, once I figured out where the snook are, then that's kind of my goal. Like, I'm a very goal-oriented, competitive person, so I just go out, try to get my slam, and then come back for dinner and hang out with the family.
So talk about your pre-trip planning then. So to me, it sounds like you still have the tides, but you're more wind-based than anything else, right? I mean, you're always looking at the direction of the wind.
Yep, that's exactly it. Okay. I've mapped out all the locations near my house, and I kind of know, like, all right, I got a north wind, these are my spots today, and then a west wind, these are these spots. I got a spots for every wind direction.
And are you the same spots to catch all three species, or are you having to move around?
No. So I've got spots for all the different species.
Okay.
I catch most of the redfish on the flats, and then like I said, most of the snook in the mangroves, and then the trout spots. They're kind of in the deeper water, so I know the depth of all the spots, and they kind of hang out on the drop offs and stuff. So a lot of times I'll get the snook and the trout in the same spot, because I'll just you'll get the trout on the way back to the boat, whereas if you don't get the snook right away, then you're not going to get one.
Yep. Man, that's so wild. And if you caught tarpon too, right? Yeah.
So I actually found those around here too. They're kind of deep in like the canals by the houses and stuff, where it looks like there would be nothing. That's where the tarpon are rolling around. So I've caught them on the Slam Shady. That's fun.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, you'll have some big boys coming in here before too long. Man, it's just still so crazy that I literally had no idea about the pontoon boat and no trolling motor. It's mind boggling. But also super inspirational, because I think I hear from so many people who falsely believe, because they don't have, a really nice boat and a trolling motor and a tower and all this stuff, that's the reason I'm not catching fish. And you are proof you don't need to have that. There needs to be some pre-trip planning. And what else? Like, what other mistake? And obviously the casting. What are some other things that you're like, man, this was a game changer besides Slam Shady, of course?
Well, getting a motor on a boat rather than using the canoe. I graduated from the canoe and got a little fishing kayak.
Okay.
So that's when I started catching the trout and the red, So graduated from the canoe, the catfish canoe, to the kayak where I got the redfish and the trout. It wasn't until a motor when I really put in time and cover a lot of ground, whereas I, figured out the rest of the stuff.
Got the old pontoon.
Yep. That's what the one charter guy calls me. He says, like, you need to change your name to Pontoon Fish Slayer.
But I mean, you're catching so many fish. Didn't you have one captain had offered to have you kind of be part-time fishing guide to help him out?
Yeah, actually, so Fin and Fly Charters, great group of group of guys here.
I know those guys. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, Jamie.
Yep.
Yeah. So when we first, I first got into fishing, and when we have visitors, we'd always use him and take us offshore and catch sharks and kingfish and all that stuff, snapper. Anyway, that's their specialty. They're always running offshore every day. And but he actually lives not too far from me, same neighborhood. And like I said, he tried to sell me his boat. I wanted to buy it, but my wife said no. So then I got the pontoon boat. He's like, "You don't want a pontoon boat? You're not gonna catch anything on a pontoon boat." I proved him wrong, and that's when he kind of said, "Like, I can't believe you're catching all these fish in a pontoon boat." And he's like, "On a trip, like how many fish do you typically catch?" And I just see the pictures. So one picture can look like you were fishing all day. I says, "Well, the other day I caught 16 snook in 2 hours." And he's like, 16 snook? He couldn't believe it on a pontoon boat. Anyway, so he's like, "How would you feel about running some inshore trips for me? Because they don't really have that market around here. They're always offshore." And so that's actually something I'm looking into. I told him, yeah, I'd be interested. He's like, "I know you got a full-time job or whatever, but, just part-time when we're busy, spring break and things like that." So I'm definitely looking into that. And he said he's got a flats boat I could use, which I think with a trolling motor and a flats boat, I could really do some damage. So I'm excited about looking into getting a captain's license and seeing where that leads.
Too cool. So what's one of the memorable days? You mentioned, 16 snook in a couple of hours with an artificial lure and a pontoon boat. What are some other days that were just like, wow?
I'm trying to think. I actually had, so the first time that I caught double-digit snook, I caught 15. And so then the next time I tried to one-up it. And so that's when I got the 16. I got it all on one island. Literally just drifted one island for 2 hours and just pulled out one after another. I mean, they weren't giants. They're all in like that 18 to 20 range, the fun size. I call it that.
Yep.
They're easier to catch, but they, on a light rod and light tackle, there's the blast.
So let's talk about that drifting too. We have a podcast coming up on that where we did one on the water, but we weren't drifting mangrove lives. We were just drifting grass flats. So talk about that. Back to the boat positioning. Like, how far away are you? Obviously, it's going to depend on, I assume, where you are and how much wind protection you have and how fast the wind's blowing. But in general, how are you even positioning your boat where you're not having to crank up the big motor every 10 seconds?
Yeah, so the back end's a lot heavier, obviously, and so usually I try to position so I got the back end because it'll blow the front end around, and then it almost drifts diagonally. So I have the front end facing where I'm fishing, so I'm standing on the front. I got a little platform on the front and the back, but it's easiest to cast. Actually, it's really nice for fishing. There's a lot of space up there, and you really cast. And I'm just kind of drifting parallel at a diagonal, so the front end's kind of. I don't know if you're picturing what I'm saying.
Yep, I got it.
Yeah, and that way I can just skip cast one after another, other than going down. Now, obviously, when it's really windy, I get real frustrated because then I'm like, all right, I got my slam, I'm going in because this sucks.
And what is the ideal wind speed?
Well, obviously the least amount, the better.
But you
But
have to
then
have some, like you don't want to have zero.
Right. So that's what I was going to say is when there's none, then I don't move, and then and you're constantly, and it seems like the water's so calm that the fish spook too easily as well. So I guess I don't really necessarily, I never really thought about what's perfect, but a little breeze, but not too much and not too little. A medium amount of breeze? Is that a thing?
It is today, friends. It is today.
Yeah.
And what about
amount of
and what about time of day and tides for you? I know you have a full-time job, so even though it seems like you're fishing a lot, have you found that early morning, late afternoon after work, certain tides that have been best for you for catching inshore slams?
Yeah, so obviously the morning is best. So with my job, some days I'm working early every day, and some days I'm working late. So I've fished all times of day, and I can always seem to find at least one of each species. The tides aren't really a thing around here because I don't know if you're familiar with like Cape Canaveral and Cocoa Beach and all the Banana River and Indian River Lagoon and all that.
Yep.
But the locks for all the cruise ships in Port Canaveral, they keep those closed all the time. So there is no like tide change. The water pretty much stays the same all the time.
So you haven't. I'll keep going.
The tides don't really affect, at least me personally, as much as like down by Sebastian. It's a lot different over there, obviously. And I spent some time fishing there, but yeah, I don't do as well down there, and I think it's probably because of the tides.
That's what I was going to ask you, if you fished other places or over here on our coast, Tampa and St. Pete. Have you come over here yet?
No, I haven't. I've fished at Clearwater Beach, just off the beach, and a little bit in the rivers there, the inshore area, but not a lot. It was just for like a Yamaha thing. We caught a bunch of speckled trout on the beach there, like first thing in the morning. So that was fun.
Very cool.
But yeah, I'd love to get over there and do some fishing. Actually, my sister and her husband, he's a big fisherman. They're visiting. They're staying in the St. Pete area next month, and so So if you know somebody that's got a boat or a charter or something that I can get him on the water over there, I think we'd have a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, Luke, my brother, lives on the water in St. Pete. However, he's in a 17-foot Maverick, so not really 3 is the max legally on that little guy. But yeah, we'll have to try to meet up. That'd be fun. I'm there every week fishing with him, usually every Wednesday at least. So that's cool, man. So I had one other question for you. What was it? Oh, I know. Bucket list fish. You're still somewhat new to it. What are the, and you said you're goal oriented. What are the big goals? What's on the list of things that you want to catch next year or two?
All right. Well, so like I said, when I first got into fishing, like sharks, I was just obsessed with the sharks. Like I just thought they were the best, and I wanted to catch a hammerhead. So I finally got my hammerhead last year. It was a cool one. So I'm trying to like knock off all the shark species, just one after another. But right now the locks are closed, so that's why I've been like hitting the inshore so much. I used to do a lot more shark fishing. That's where the name and the shark fit came from. And I didn't spend a ton of time in the rivers in the inshore around here because everyone said there were no fish. But then when they closed the locks, I was like, well, I don't have a choice now. So that's kind of where I went with that. Sorry, went on a tangent. So most of my bucket list fish are the offshore species. I really want to catch a sailfish. I think those are really cool. I got my first mahi this last year.
Cool.
So that was pretty sweet. Wahoo. I haven't got a wahoo yet. That looked like fun. There's the inshore. So I've gotten the one flounder. There's two kinds of flounder, right? The Gulf flounder and what's the other one?
I don't even know. There's basically the northern and the southern. I don't know the actual names of them. There's really just one that we're catching up here, and we just call it the flounder. Ironically, it's more like a summer fluke, but
right. Yeah, so I haven't caught a lot of flounder, so that's something as far as inshore goes. I need to work on and figure out that. So that's something. And I just recently figured out the tarpon, so I kind of got that. But yeah, there's always fish to catch. My buddy just got back from Costa Rica, and he caught a rooster fish over there. I've always wanted to catch one of those, but that'll be a long trip.
Well, you'll have to take your Slam Shadies. We're officially, I believe, at 49 species. We're trying to break a record, which we might have already broken it because I haven't seen any evidence of someone having more total species caught on one lure, and we're at 49 on the Slam Shady. And roosterfish have not been added to the list. Mahi has. Wahoo has not, and sailfish has not. So just throwing it out there for Travis or anyone else listening. Those three species, we need them, and that I have a feeling it's going to happen this year.
All right, next trip, I'm taking a pack with me.
Yep, that's the challenge. That would be awesome to get a sailfish or any of the three, but I would love to see that.
Yeah, I haven't used it a ton in the ocean yet, so I'm sure it does well though.
Yeah, it does well. I mean, you could send it down. Even we have some guys going after grouper and snapper, and they were killing it with it. I mean, it looks good. It has a great drop, and mahi when you get in a little school, those little schoolies. I mean, you can toss that, and I mean, honestly, they kind of hit anything. But yeah, they destroy it.
How about a shark? A shark with it?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of sharks, but I don't know about different species. Like, I don't think there's been a mako shark. I know there's been a lot of just more of those inshore sharks, like bonnet heads, little small bull shark, black tip, small black tip. So there's probably been 4. So, and I'm only counting when I say 49. We just say shark is one species. Would there be a whole lot more if we try to list out every one? And maybe we should just to boost the numbers up.
Yeah, you should. Everyone always forgets about the shark, man.
That's right. Well, hey, not with you, dude. Shark fit, baby.
Exactly.
Oh, that's too cool. So, are you guys doing video too? I know you're growing this Instagram page, the Shark Fit _Cocoa Beach. We'll put a link in the show notes. Are you guys doing video and a YouTube channel or anything else yet too?
Yeah, we're working on that. I just got a GoPro for Christmas, so I'm going to do a lot more recording, especially once they open the locks up stuff. But yeah, it's all work in progress. Kind of started the page just for fun. And it was funny because my wife, so she criticized me with my regular Instagram account. That's for everything, family and all that, the private one.
Yep.
And she's like, well, all you ever post is fishing pictures. So I was like, all right, well, then I'll just get my own fishing page and then I can post there. And so that's what I did. I just posted my pictures on the Shark Fit page, and I get like 6 likes and 7 likes. I didn't care. I just wanted a place to kind of organize where my photos would go,
Yep.
The best catches and like that. And then she made fun of me one day. She was like, you got like 40 followers and you're following like 8 people. Like, this is why you have no friends. No. Anyway, so then she's like, I bet if I held a picture of a fish, it'd get way more likes. So she went fishing. She got her first redfish or whatever, posted it. And he got like 10 likes. And he's like, okay, you're doing something wrong. So then she's like, I'm going to be a part of this. We're going to figure this out. And so then she started doing more fishing, which I was good. Happy that, just to get to spend some time with the missus on the boat. Stuff I love. And it's really grown a lot. So, we started following a lot of different fishing people, and you meet a lot of people that way, and you learn tips. You can, talk, communicate that way. I mean, look, here I'm on a Salt Strong podcast. People I just Googled before, so.
Funny how it all happens. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it is you studying. I mean, I appreciate you coming to Salt Strong and studying, putting it to work, and then having results. And man, it's super impressive. And I love interviews like this because I didn't know the majority of this whole story, and now even more impressed that you're doing all this without even a trolling motor. So that could be a little video we go do sometime next time we're over there, and just how to go out there and catch a lot of fish out of a pontoon boat. So that's so cool, man.
Yeah. Welcome anytime.
Very, very cool. Well, tell everyone where they can go follow you. I know I've mentioned it a couple of times, but mention it again on Instagram is the main place for now.
Yep. We're working on a YouTube channel, so I want to have more than one video before I start a page,
Yep. But it's sharkfit_Cocoa Beach on Instagram. And once again, we'll put links if you're listening in your car, working out, etc. You can go to saltstrong.com/podcast and see this up at the top. And we will have links to Travis there. And as you add YouTube, we can add that in, etc. The beauty of the internet is you can always add stuff. So, dude, this has been really, really cool. I'm thrilled for you. It's really, really cool to see someone who's only been fishing a handful of years here in the state of Florida that went from the net guy who was catching only catfish and happy about it to now catching inshore slams and being mad every time he doesn't catch an inshore slam. So what a cool story. What a transformation. And we'll have to make sure we get you some more of the slam shady so you can keep on slaying them.
Yeah, I guess we got one more quick story.
Yeah.
Actually, your little summary there reminded me of it. So that same day that I got my buddy, convinced the slam shady really works, we came across a little school of redfish. There were 3 or 4 of them. We spooked those, and then we tried to follow them, and then we saw these 2 really nice snook kind of just chilling there. And then, we got really close to them, and they took off. And he's scrambling because he's got his mullet because he's live bait guy. So he's scrambling to go to mullet. I just chucked the slam shady way out in front of him, and literally just brought it right in front of them as they're swimming away. And both of us literally saw it turn and just smoke the slam shady. And the reaction, George, he just couldn't believe it. He's like, these fish are stupid. How can that snook eat an artificial bait right after we spooked it on your pontoon boat? He just couldn't believe it. And then I'm like, grab the net.
Grab the net, George.
Yep. And then we landed that 30-inch snook. So.
That's awesome, man. Well, Brother Travis, this has been fun. Keep up the work. And I will continue to follow you. Keep tagging us on all your awesome catches. And looking forward for the YouTube video too. I'm sure that'll be fun, man.
Yeah. Thanks again for having me on.
Yeah, everyone, please go follow Travis and Natalie, sharkfit_Cocoa Beach. And if you have any questions on this, let us know. We'll have a little place to put comments on the show notes at saltstrong.com/podcast. If you haven't got a pack of slam shadies, assuming we have some, you can go to the shop.saltstrong.com and see what we have in stock. The last time we got some in, I believe we had 5,000 packs, which, to put in perspective, I mean, even the biggest, busiest Bass Pro would never sell 5,000 packs of a single color of a single swim bait paddle tail in maybe even a year. And we did it in 48 hours. So they go fast. They truly do work. So go to shop.saltstrong.com to check them out. Of course, if you're an insider member, you get 20% off everything on the store. And we are about to be adding a lot of stuff to the store over the next 30 days. So check it out. Guys, thank you so much. Travis, thank you so much. And we will talk to everyone on the next episode. We out. Peace.
'Cause fishing that's in my soul. It was